Unfortunately, the hottest growth sector is straitjackets for liberals flipping out over this Sydney Sweeney ad campaign at American Eagle.
They're crazy.
It's Fox Across America with Jimmy Fallon on a stacked deck episode of the show. Kennedy's going to be here. We're going to talk with Katrina Campins as well. And we will get to some of your calls, texts, tweets, and carrier pigeons as we talk about all things America, including the new left-wing war on boobs.
Well, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard of.
No other way to describe it, which is why I said it the way I did on Laura Ingraham last night and got the look that I did. If you didn't see it, it's on the Fox Across America website. But either way you slice it, you are all welcome to check it out and agree or disagree. We don't care. This is an old school radio show. I am a talk show host, not doing a Republican show, not doing a Democrat show or a Libertarian show. I'm doing an American show. Freedom! So you're all welcome. Be a Republican, be a Democrat, just don't be a bang. There it is. Happy Wednesday, everybody. And I have to tell you off the top, as the father of a teenage boy who shops at American Eagle, I want to get you my son's take on this Sydney Sweeney situation. Unfortunately, he has not come out of the bathroom since the ad dropped. Just kidding. I'm sure Lakin has a take, and if you have one, you're welcome to weigh in as well. But I actually wanted to start there. Of all things, okay, I consider this to be a superficial story. I consider it to be a culture war story. I consider it to be an example of the old way of doing business, which was the squeaky wheel got the most grease in the outrage era. If three angry white chicks got into Subarus, put in their nose rings, dyed their hair purple, and called something racist, the media came a-running. Oh, people are outraged. Oh, there's a massive backlash. But is there a real backlash of substance against American Eagle?
Not even close!
Their stock price is up 15 points. 15 points, which means they're making money right now. But understand the teachable moment, and the reason I want to get into this is we got to this place as a country where we started to attach way too much emotional significance to superficial things. Who's in the commercial? Who's in the Victoria's Secret runway show? Hopefully somebody hot with a nice set of hooties.
Hubba, hubba.
I'm just saying, because the point is, first and foremost, the reason advertising has been historically dominated by humor and hot chicks is because people like to laugh and look at pretty things. Okay, there's always been a market for that. That was every beer commercial since the beginning of time. Do you remember the Coors Light commercial? Here's to football. Do you remember all the Bud Light commercials with the chicks, and a Cindy Crawford Pepsi commercial and everything in between? People like to laugh, look at good-looking people, and that's what this was actually born out of. It was a return to normalcy for all intents and purposes because this is what ran advertising until woke people took over Madison Avenue.
Everything woke turns to
And the reason people embraced cancel culture, okay, I wrote a New York Times best-selling book about that, which is crazy. I am the only community college graduate in the history of the New York Times bestseller list to actually wind up on it. It is called Cancel Culture Dictionary. It came out last January. And if you like reading at a third grade level, you are going to love this book. But the point I was making in the book is cancel culture created what we call a war on fun. It was teaching people to police sources of joy for sources of grievance. Meaning you go to a comedy show for joy. You want to unplug from the daily torments of everyday life. You want to have a couple of drinks, maybe eat a chicken finger or a mozzarella stick, whatever you're into. Maybe you're on a date with a girl. I don't have the answer, but the point is you went there to have a good time. When people started looking around the internet and policing comedy shows as if these were actual political stances the people were taking as opposed to just a cartooning of society, we started to break the compass. Suddenly, whether or not the joke was punching up or punching down, is that joke at a less fortunate disenfranchised? Because who cares what the joke is as long as it's funny?
Bingo, man, bingo.
Okay, when you make fun of something, you are treating it as an equal. You are saying it's mainstream. People know what it is. You're just like the rest of us. You're in the splash zone. Do you remember how they were telling you you can't make fun of trans people or you can't make fun of minorities or you shouldn't be making fun of women? That's not equality. Putting somebody off at the kiddie table like an infantilized lesser than, is not actually treating someone as an equal. But lo and behold, the cancel crowd won that argument. They started policing comedians in the beginning because in the infancy stages of social media, people didn't understand what this rage mob was. They just knew that they needed to get out of its way. Okay, our corporation doesn't need the blowback. There's thousands of people saying we're racist, but we're not racist. Who cares? We just want them to shut up. And the truth is, everybody who bent the knee benefited in no way, shape, or form, because what they quickly came to realize is the cancel crowd wasn't out there for progress. They were just out there for their own prosperity, meaning they wanted the clicks, they wanted the relevance, they wanted the power, but they weren't actually doing anything. Like, think of everybody that's ever been canceled for telling a joke. Gilbert Gottfried got canceled in the aftermath of the Japanese tsunami. Tsunamis are in the news right now. But at the time, Gilbert Gottfried was the Aflac duck. And 65% of their actual business was taking place over in Japan. So he told a series of jokes about the tsunami, you know, that might have been poorly timed, to be clear. Corporate America might have had every right to distance themselves from his comments. But the people on Twitter who called for his cancellation, did any of them actually go over there and help anyone affected by the actual tsunami? Which means it wasn't about the victims. It was about the people who wanted the clicks. So far, so good. Okay, understand, nobody in Japan, if you think it's insensitive for Gilbert Gottfried to be telling those jokes, great. But there's nobody in Japan reading them. Because if you happen to be there at the time of that tsunami and you had an iPhone in your hand, the only thing you were using it for was an oar. Okay, sadly, people were dying in massive numbers. And you might not like the timing of the joke, but nobody was sitting on the roof of their house watching their neighbor's house float out to sea going, you know, but more importantly, did you see what the Aflac duck said 6,000 miles away on the other side of the world? And again, I'm not even telling you the timing of those jokes were excellent. They were funny jokes. But once we broke the compass on comedy, we started to do it everywhere else. We started to police other sources of joy for sources of grievance. Hey, the Victoria's Secrets catalog. They're having their actual runway show where all the sexy girls, they put on the lingerie and shake their asses all over the TV set.
Oh, yes. I've read about that in the Bible.
Okay, and the point is, we started to decide that was a problem. Well, it's not inclusive enough. It's all hot chicks. Where are the fat chicks? They're in my search history, if you want to be honest. But come on, where are the fat chicks? We need some of these. We need one of those. No, we don't. Okay, the whole point, and this comes right back to Sydney Sweeney, is you have to understand certain people have been born into endowments, gifts, genetics, things, okay, that are better than the rest of us. We might consider them to be aspirational. You know, someone was arguing with me today. Well, nobody looks like Sydney Sweeney. She's so pretty. That's sending an unfair message to girls. No, it's not. Girls, first and foremost, people are attracted to energy. We're not attracted to looks. Everybody has left a 9 at the bar to go home with a 6 who had something about them. They seemed more fun. You might have clicked better. Okay, and I know this is true because I was the 6. I was definitely not the 9. I was the 6 that had a little bit of game. But the point being is just because some of us have traits in one area or another that are beyond the norm doesn't mean they should be demonized. This idea that, well, we can't say, you know, Sydney Sweeney being this gorgeous blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl with big boobs, that's not the norm and we shouldn't be celebrated. Why? You know, there are people out there who can really, really sing. Okay, do we not let them sing because the rest of us weren't born into that voice? There are guys that can hit a baseball 500 feet. Do we not let them swing the bat because we can't all hit the ball 500 feet? Okay, that's the point. Certain people have gifts and attributes that are worthy of celebration because they are that much more distinctive from the rest of us. So that's what the hot chicks and advertising thing was born out of. People liked to look at these otherworldly creatures. They were literally called supermodels because the premise was they were born into a level of aesthetic prosperity that was beyond the norm. We didn't look at them as evil for being what they were born as. So you understand this whole argument resonates with a small faction of America that has always been a tyranny of the minority. Okay, the minority. The majority of people don't want to see ugly Victoria's Secrets models. The majority of people obviously don't draw any correlation whatsoever between Nazis and Sydney Sweeney doing a play on words about jeans, knowing Brooke Shields did the exact same commercial back in 1984. Was anybody in 1984 calling Brooke Shields a Nazi?
The answer would be no.
The verbiage in the commercial is identical. Genes are hereditary, they're passed down, they determine your looks and how much this and that, and Brooke Shields was rolling around on the ground trying to put on a tight pair of jeans. So you understand this was always born out of some tyranny of the minority, and the country has moved beyond it. The reason the woke mob died, the reason they lost their power, is once people started standing up to them, we realized the only thing they could ever do was yell. They didn't have a plan to improve things, and they didn't care about anybody. Okay, we whacked the Washington Redskins logo. Native Americans wanted it, but some woke white people said it was racist. Okay, Native Americans suffer from the shortest life expectancies, the highest rates of heart disease, diabetes, and illiteracy. Did changing the halftime show do anything whatsoever to improve the quality of life for the Washington Redskins or the Native American community, to be clear? No, that's the point. This is not activism, it's slacktivism. And 5 years ago, this type of blowback might have actually hurt American Eagle. Because people, oh, they're calling us names. We don't want to be associated with the thing being called names. I guess we'll just turn on it too. Okay, that's actually how they got biological men competing against women. 80% of the country think men do not belong in the same swimming pool as women. But at the height of the outrage era, people didn't want the blowback. And liberals created a gap between what people believed to be true and what they were willing to say in public, which is even how something like Dylan Mulvaney happened. But that was pretty much the last straw for this sort of thing in advertising. Dylan Mulvaney came out as the antithesis of everything Bud Light commercials traditionally stood for. It was hot girls. It was silly jokes. Okay, and they went with Dylan Mulvaney, a.k.a. Sydney Sweeney. And the next thing you know, nobody wanted to drink Bud Light. They were calling it tranny fluid. Why? Because they were no longer catering to the customer preference. They were trying to change them. You know, Mad Men was now Mad Them. Don Draper was now Dawn Draper. And the customer was like, wait, why are they telling me I'm wrong for the way I feel? I've been buying Bud Light and laughing at their Real Men of Genius commercials my whole life. What's even happening here? Okay, but this holdover from that era is what the backlash against American Eagle is all about. People making preposterous claims, getting a lot of clicks on the media. The mainstream comes sailing in and piggybacks off of what they tell you is an outrage. But if the company's stock price is up 15 points, they're not actually in the middle of a controversy.
You're absolutely right.
So the teachable moment here, and it's a good one, is that yes, the outrage mob is at this current incarnation, dead. Okay, nobody cares. Are we going to cover this? Yes. Am I going to do half my monologue on Saturday night on Fox News Saturday Night about this? Yes, because it's hilarious. Okay, they've declared war on boobs.
That's stupid. Use your common sense.
I mean, in the Atlantic, here's a quick quote, okay? Did American Eagle know what it was doing when it made the Sydney Sweeney advertisement? The company hasn't addressed the controversy, but the ad, not unlike the famous and controversial Brooke Shields Calvin Klein campaign it appears to be playing off of, seems like it was perhaps meant to walk a line, to just be controversial enough to garner some attention. Even her figure has become a cultural stand-in for the idea, pushed by conservative commentators, that Americans should be free to love boobs. To which America says... Does anyone even hear themselves? Okay? Oh, this conservative idea that Americans should be free to love boobs. Guys, I'm going to go out on a limb and say there were a lot of liberal men who liked boobs too.
I'm Hillary Clinton, and I approve this message.
Yeah, she caught them liking boobs. But the point is, when you look at this, and you look at wokeism and the remaining remnants of it in the elite media, and in all of these lunatics and Subarus screaming into their iPhones, okay, it's a reminder that wokeism will never run out of ways to rack up losses. We are rocking hard on Fox Across America with Jimmy Thaler. We've been a little highbrow today. We've been talking about boobies for the past hour and a half. And I happen to know that two fellas in the control room right now have thrown a lot of money at them over the years.
Paying in cash.
To quote El Rushbo. Joining us now, an expert on all things, boobies, cash, all of it, the K-Train, host of the Kennedy Saves the World podcast. Kennedy is up on the main stage.
Thank you, Jim.
I love a strip club voice. You a strip club DJ?
Gosh.
Put
Your hands together.
Give her a little greenery for the scenery.
Crockett.
Take her in the back. Who knows what'll happen?
In the
that was the thing.
champagne room,
People
there's no bouncers or cameras.
People listening up in Utica, WIBX, we've been there. Yeah. We did stand-up comedy there. They used to have a strip club called Peepers. Mm-hmm. And when I was a senior in high school, we were there for a baseball tournament, and Peepers let us right in, like with a library card.
Well, I'm sure based on your high school, several of those seniors were probably 25.
And they were, to be fair, just visiting their classmates on stage. But the strip club DJ at Peepers, a legend. And I'd never been to a strip club before. So you would imagine this carries a lot of sway with a young boy. Go take her in the back for a lap dance. Who knows what might happen? And we were like, whoa, all right. And you know what would happen?
She'd probably be my girlfriend. That's probably what happened.
Do you remember the old Chris Rock bit, there's no sex in the champagne room? No matter what a stripper might tell you, there is no sex in the champagne room. But I don't doubt
Remember when John Starks ratted out his former teammates?
Yeah.
And was like, I was at a strip club with Patrick Ewing, and I saw some very untoward things happening with a young lady's mouth.
And that's why the Knicks never won a title.
That's right.
Because John Starks didn't understand the value of going after loose balls. Good night, everybody! All right, gotta go! Wrap it up!
If only they could have employed some of those women from Flash Dancers.
Bang! So we're talking about women in the highest intellectual sense of the term.
Indeed.
I always say, back in the cancel culture era, I used to call it a war on fun, meaning they were basically policing sources of joy for sources of grievance. You know, they'd go to a comedy show and be like, is this joke punching up or punching down? Who cares? Am I laughing?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
No, punch down. Go ahead.
And I think the holdouts...
You punch up, you throw your back out.
Amen. And I think the holdouts on the Sydney Sweeney argument, the crazy white women in Subarus or whoever they are operating under an old business model. That you could police a source of joy for a source of grievance and for a while maybe hold sway on social media because people would get behind your social pressure campaign regardless of whether it was more to any fact. I mean, because I think wherever you take your analysis, I think we would agree.
Oh, it is Wednesday. It is time for my urinalysis. Thank you, Jim.
But I think we would agree that drawing a correlation between killing 6 million people and a chick in jeans with hoodies is intellectually disqualifying.
Yeah.
Okay, we can start there.
As if... I love that Sydney Sweeney somehow now is a Nazi propagandist.
It's bananas.
You know, it's like, never mind the hordes of people who have taken over Columbia and Harvard and UPenn and UCLA and these Kill the Jews rallies. Now, all of a sudden, they've sprouted some anti-Nazi sensibilities. Even though there's spray paint all over these campuses, Hitler was right.
Yeah.
But now it's like they're jealous of Sydney Sweeney. So they're like, oh my God, like this is so freaky. This is obviously a propaganda campaign. And it's really freaking me out. It's like, that is such a historical stretch.
Yep.
And for the professors to go on CNN and be like, well, actually, this is how the eugenics program started in the United States from 1900 to 1940. And I see a lot of parallels. It's like, what, between Cleavage and a classic car and the extermination of 6 million was just a starting point for them.
She was, to be clear, in a Shelby GT500, which is not a Volkswagen, if you wanted to make the parallel. Since we're having this conversation.
Those cups were not filled by Krups.
Kennedy is in studio. We're having a grown-up talk about Sydney Sweeney. Somebody had to. It's like no one in the media had the guts to touch the story.
They're selling to young Gen Zers.
Thank you.
They're not selling to constipated, frigid millennials.
Yes.
Who already sound, in this debate, they already sound incredibly old.
Yes.
You know, it's like Gen Xers and young Gen Zers have so much in common.
Yeah.
Because, like, everything that we liked is now retro. I don't care if they feel like they discovered it. The important thing is they want to have fun.
Yeah.
They don't want to be lectured to. They don't want to be told that, you know, there's not enough body positivity here. And it's like a lot of dudes pitching pup tents going, I'm pretty positive about it.
I tweeted earlier, I've been trying to get my son's take, but he hasn't come out of the bathroom since the ad dropped. I'm like,
Yeah.
Hey, hurry up in there.
There was this pudgy faced TikToker who was like, I'm so disturbed by this. It's like, okay, listen, you have the ugliest septum ring ever. You are disturbed because no one is ever going to run anything up the flagpole thinking about you.
Hard truth. Maybe not hard, but truth.
Yeah.
Kennedy's here. So I was going to play one of those clips for you because what I find funny is there's this other argument being made just the same. This happened to me today. I was getting ready to do Newsroom, and someone made a point to me.
Newsroom, I'm a name dropper.
No, not at all.
Dana Perino and our best friends.
We're not. Nobody talks to me in this jacket. Even my son, I get no respect. Lincoln came on stage and just went in on my jacket. Straight up. He goes, apparently nobody told my dad Pride Month was over. And he goes, but I can't make fun of him because he pays my grocery bills. But that's like the worst because he's also saying like you're beneath contempt.
Yeah.
Anyway. So
He gets paid in protein.
I was just trying to tell you that ahead of Newsroom today, someone made a point. I don't want to out the staffer because she's delightful. But she said, but what do you say to this argument I'm hearing a lot that Sydney Sweeney, being as gorgeous as she is unfair to women? Because they're saying you've got to look like that to be in a commercial. I'm like, first of all, they're not saying that. They're just using this specific person in this specific commercial. There are people of all shapes and sizes. Lena Dunham has a show coming out. You know, in theory.
It's out, and it's awful.
It's the worst thing you've ever seen. But the point is that commercials were not doing this as a means of saying to everyone consuming them, this is the only way to live your life. And people who were born into, certain attributes that were beyond the norm, we used to just celebrate them for that ability. Meaning, if you take hot chicks out of commercials because we're not all that hot, then how do we justify letting people sing knowing that most karaoke performances aren't on that level?
Yeah.
Hey, that's enough out of you, Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why Bobby gave her crack. He wanted to be more inclusive.
Yeah.
He's like, she sings too good.
Yep.
We got to start killing off the good singers.
It's too much.
Yeah, I mean, think
Gotta
about it.
level the playing field, but it's that mentality that you have to level the playing field. That's like, asking someone who just broke a hip to join the Rockettes dance line at Radio City Music Hall.
Yeah.
No, you want to see ideals because ideals are aspirational.
Thank you. That's what I said. I said it was aspirational. That's the point. And it's like when Victoria's Secret used to have supermodels, like they're literally called supermodels. We acknowledged as a people that some people were born into a level of aesthetic prosperity that was unique to them. And we were just like, isn't that something? No different than a guy who hits a baseball 500 feet.
Or a person, an artist who paints an incredible painting.
Yeah.
Hunter Biden.
The idea, though, it is so funny when you talk about like corruption and stuff like that, because so much of it happens in plain sight. Guy was getting $500,000 a painting.
Yes.
And now obviously nothing. And we don't draw a parallel between this being some type of backdoor pay-for-play situation.
Yeah, well, why? If there was a market for it, why isn't there still a market for it?
Thank you. It's like
inflation's coming down.
It's basically the Clinton Foundation with a paintbrush.
Yeah.
Because it was the same thing. Gazillions of dollars. They're like, oh, she's out of politics? The number you have reached is not in service. All of a sudden, the donation line went right down. Yeah, Kennedy's in studio. And the other thing, and this is bonkers, and I've heard this side of it just the same, is we're in a current news cycle where a biological man is the face of Ulta Cosmetics. And that's a modeling opportunity that would traditionally go to a woman. And if you were a female model, being the face of Ulta would be a really big gig to get.
Aren't you aggrieved?
Yeah. But think about that. So like the modern feminist movement is actually not protecting women in any way.
No, it wants to tear women down.
Yep.
Absolutely. And that's so much of these feminists. And I was reading the Washington Post. There was a column between their two fashion columnists. And, one of them was like, well, I just worry that this campaign is very regressive. Yeah. And it's like, yes, because progressive loses.
Yeah.
Like that is not an attractive philosophy for younger people. And regressive for them means, oh, we can have fun again.
Yeah.
Yay for us.
I know.
We saved fun as a generation.
Straight up.
You guys tried to wreck it forever, and we're not going to let you.
Straight up. And that's the point, is when you start to become like the grievance-minded hall monitors of society, you're introducing a lot of conflict in inconsequential areas, meaning this ad would come and go. I mean,
they've given it life. They've given it so much oxygen. And American Eagle they're not going to reap the benefits of it right now. They're not going to reap the benefits until these actual jeans are in stores.
Yeah.
Because hordes of people will rush to find them.
Show their support for the ideological cause. So it's like their stock price is up.
And they also want to look that good.
Yeah. That again, was aspirational. That was the point of the Victoria's Secret's lingerie show before they turned it into a series of before models. And there's nothing wrong with them.
Oh, my God. Ollie London had a hysterical contrast. There was a Calvin Klein print ad from a few years ago.
The man in the bra.
Yeah, the man in the beige sports bra, just these corpulent, doughy, unattractive people, and the woman, she's all like chubby, but not in the good way, not like the Cardi B, it's like hips don't lie kind of way. It was like, no, it's like painfully truthful that these are unattractive people who have given up on their fitness. And it's like, that wasn't selling. Like, you used to have Kate Moss and Marky Mark in their Calvins, and that was really hot.
That mattered.
And that, it's like, people are trying to get back to fun.
Yeah, we went from heroin chic to women who look like the Iron Chic. It was not supposed to be the plan.
I'm pretty. Yes, I have a beard.
If you don't want to sleep
body positivity.
If you don't want to sleep with a bearded man in a dress, you're a transphobe.
Take me to prom.
But they did that, and it was always a tyranny of the minority. But what was really of great consequence is the fact, this is where Elon buying Twitter, though, has really helped society in a weird way. It loosened up the lanes of free speech because other big tech companies saw that that's where the market was going and stopped responding to the heavy-handed government censorship efforts that were being made. Like, you could post about politics again on Facebook. You weren't really able to do that and be in the algorithm a year ago. But
no, actually, we find these things to be offensive.
Yeah.
Therefore, we have to deplatform people and take their posts down.
I mean, really think about it. When the media was able to actually bury the Hunter Biden laptop story, okay, you might have had a different electoral outcome if everybody was able to speak freely about it for the last 3 weeks running up to the election. They killed it on October 20th.
Yeah.
And it was able to keep going.
Tried.
Yeah. The Post did what they did, and they were like, hell no.
Yeah.
So that's where, like the Jack Dorsey owned Twitter was kind of, they were throttling posts that didn't agree with the prevailing or preferred narrative. So you could make these statements. It wasn't like you were going to be deplatformed, but no one was going to see them. And when they were amplifying things that were, like we referred to earlier, the Calvin Klein underwear campain, and they had 700 million likes. Yeah.
This is beauty.
And be like, I guess this is beauty now? And we're like, nah, actually. The funny thing about that. So I feel like the fact that, they're calling this, it's a backlash, but it's not actually a backlash. Like, society is firmly on the side of the boobs here.
Yeah, it's a reset.
Yes.
And
that's what we're watching.
And they were like, well, maybe if we put real women with real curves in our advertisements, people will buy them. And I remember looking at like Lululemon and their sports bras, and it's just like corpulent. And women see that enough when they go into fitting rooms. And it's like, no, I want to see something that I want to look like eventually.
Yeah.
Not when I gain 600 pounds, but when I take 3 months of straight Pilates classes.
Think about this. How many people listening, and I know I have, you probably have too. Sometimes you actually buy an outfit and go, I'm going to use this as my motivation to get into shape. I'm going to make it so I can wear this.
Yes.
Okay. Imagine how much you're defeating people's sense of purpose and determination by being actually like, it's the letting yourself go.
I'm going to buy a size 18.
I'm going to buy this once I gain the 35 pounds. That's what they were doing.
I'm swimming in it now, but man, I swear to God, when I'm pretty again, after strapping a feed bag to my face till after Christmas, woo.
They broke the compass. That's the point. And no one was buying, meaning they broke the compass, but no one was following them through the woods. They were like, no, I'm not following that guy's out of his nut. Okay, and think about it. You know this. Before Bud Light did what they did. Okay, and this is essentially the opposite of that. This is what Bud Light used to be. Bud Light was always hot chicks and jokes. Remember the Coors Light, Here's the Football? And Twins, that whole commercial. Do you remember the Cindy Crawford commercial?
Yes.
It's the greatest Pepsi commercial of all, greatest Super Bowl commercial of all time, 1992.
Yes.
She pulls up in a Ferrari. For those of you who haven't seen it, I'll talk slower. Cindy Crawford pulls up in a Ferrari on like a 100-degree day, gets out in one of those dirt parking lot gas stations where the bell rings, ding, ding. She goes over to the Pepsi machine. It's a new can. pulls it out and wipes it off her forehead, wipes it off her chest, and they cut to little boys who go, man, that's a great-looking Pepsi can. And it's so great. It's just like a bait and switch. And we're like, oh, the hottest girl in the world. Hot chicks and humor. Okay, we run on that as a country.
Yes.
And this campaign is the antithesis of everything that makes us who we are. And is it not insane to think that maybe our grandparents or great-grandparents literally are the ones who defeated the Nazis? So their descendants could be called Nazis because we like cleavage? This is the dumbest time there has ever been to be alive.
Yeah, and it's offensive.
Thank you. Kennedy's sticking around for one more segment because the bars aren't open yet. Back after this. People are worked up about this Sydney Sweeney modeling campaign. My next guest, just happy it went to a biological woman. Former University of Pennsylvania swimmer, current superstar, Paula Scanlan in studio. Hey, girl.
Hey.
So are you kind of laughing at this as I am?
Oh, yes.
It's just like, it's so delicious. And obviously it involves crazy people. It involves fake grievance and, like faux outrage and the people doing the Nazi thing. Okay, just so you understand, you went to the University of Penn. I went to community college. I majored in Nintendo.
You're probably a million times smarter than the most people.
Maybe out there in like the regular world. Yeah, I used to make fun of community college graduates. I'm like, but we're actually like all right. Like we didn't like support
You're not
Hamas.
Indoctrinated.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I've never kidnapped a single janitor. I've never overthrown the school to chant death to the Israel and everything like that. But the point is, there are people out there that are obviously waging an absurdist argument that there's some correlation between this and Nazism. Like, I think that is intellectually disqualifying, wouldn't you say, at a base level?
I would say so. I mean, I think their basis of their argument is that there's something with genetics. And I'm sorry, genes and genes is the easiest play on words. If a company hasn't come up and used that in a slogan already, then you're failing at advertising. I mean, it's the best slogan to use.
Literally. Do you know how many beer commercials have used cans and cans, like, to take it there? But the point is, they were just selling good looks and humor. Hot chicks and humor. It's been a business model for as long as we've had business models. Supermodels have been a part of this for as long as we've had supermodels. And so much of this story is just stupid. Like, it's not an actual backlash. It's three crazy white chicks in Subarus posting TikTok. Maybe it's more than three. What do you think the number is?
I don't know, but every single clip that I've seen, and by the way, against my will, every single time someone's showing me this, it's like, look at this, or what do you think? Or it shows up on my feed, and I'm like, I don't want to see it. And every single person who's posted something has face piercings.
Yep.
They have blue hair. I mean, I have not seen a single average looking person criticizing this ad. I'm serious. And I'm not trying to dig on anyone's look, but like, I'm serious. If you have multiple face piercings and I can't even see what your face looks like, you're not average looking.
It's not good. It's the best thing about being on TV. People will criticize your appearance and they don't even have a profile picture. I'm like, you couldn't even get the fake cartoon of yourself and you're over here, firing shots. I want to play you one of those montages because some of them are so funny. Josh, can you play me clip 2?
Hey, American Eagle. Now do black and brown women. Because black and brown women also have great genes that they inherit from their parents. Did you know that?
Talking about blue jeans and white people.
Oh.
Boycott American Eagle. Boycott the out of them.
A blonde-haired, blue-eyed white woman is talking about her good genes. Like, that is Nazi propaganda.
First of all, the first woman, I'll start with her. She's like, now do black and brown people. Beyonce was the face of a national jeans campaign.
And she looks, she dyed her hair blonde. Is that not considered, whitewashing?
Yeah, was she trying? Yeah, what was going on?
Is that
there?
cultural appropriation?
Hold on now. Beyonce's canceled. She did a country album. Nobody cared.
Yeah, if she does it and she dyes her hair blonde, it's her choice. She looks stunning and beautiful. But if somebody else has naturally blonde hair, which actually Sydney Sweeney isn't even a natural blonde.
Thank you. She's just Beyonceing this. Okay. But you've had Tyra Banks, a pretty famous black model, just the same, landed all kinds of endorsements. Naomi Campbell, and the list would go on. But the point is, okay, this is all pretend. And I think this is the biggest problem for liberalism right now is they're aligning themselves with pretend things. Okay, something you dealt with at the University of Pennsylvania was the pretend belief that there is no biological difference between a man and a woman. And you guys were essentially, for a long time, forced to kind of play along with this against your will, no?
Exactly that. I mean, it's just everything is fake. There's nothing that they stand for. And again, the whole calling this Nazi propaganda, the word loses its meaning, and it's incredibly harmful to people who actually went through disgusting, terrible things during World War II.
Yeah.
You can't rebrand everything or it means nothing.
Thank you. That's a great point. Paula Scanlan is here, making all kinds of sense. She downplayed, I don't know that you downplayed your intelligence. I think you built up mine, which these people listen for 3 hours a day. You can't sell them that. You could sell them a lot of things. You're not going to sell them that.
I don't know. I mean, some of the things you see from these graduates from Ivy League schools, I don't know.
I mean, it's crazy. So give me this. I know you've talked about this. I've seen a lot of your interviews, but you were at a time, and this is why I'm bringing up your experience specifically, because it parallels with something going on that I'll get to in a second. You were at the University of Pennsylvania. You were swimming with Leah, the person we would know to be Leah Thomas, correct?
Leah, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And being forced to change with a fully intact male?
Yep, 18 times per week. There's 9 practices. You change in, change out. That's 18 times you're undressing in front of this fully grown dude. Which
is disgusting. It's non-consensual for all intents and purposes. And the school at the time didn't have any interest in your side of the argument, correct?
Yeah, no, and they actually told us, back to this conversation, why does everything lead back to race? They said that you would be known as the bigots from the 1960s if you objected to undressing in the locker room with this man. Wow. So they said, this is the new civil rights movement. This is equivalent to not wanting to undress with black people in a locker room.
Yo,
that is what we were told.
It is so absurd on its face, because here's the thing about black people. They were born black. Okay, trans people, it is literally a cosmetic, if you wanted to call it a manufactured movement.
Well, when they said that announcement to me, I said, I'm mixed race. Okay, I'm split down the middle 50-50. My mom immigrated here from Taiwan. I have Taiwanese citizenship. I have American citizenship. I'm 50-50. Do you want me to cut myself in half and change into locker rooms? Because that's the argument that you're trying to make there. And you can't do that. Men are men and women are women.
Which is insane. And the vast, vast, vast majority of society supports you on this. It's more than an 80-20 issue at this point. But what they had succeeded in doing at the time was creating a gap between what people believed to be true and what they were willing to say in public. Obviously, now that the lanes of free speech are being restored, they're getting a little bit of a comeuppance. But did you see Ulta Cosmetics has a man as the face of a cosmetics brand? And it's like modern feminism is actually erasing women. It's not an empowerment movement for women, wouldn't you say?
Exactly. I saw that ad, and actually the person who's featured in that ad, he had a meltdown about the whole transgender and sports thing, saying it was like we're killing trans people, and he had some meltdown. I remember seeing that. But the point is, okay, are there some men that use makeup? Probably. Yep. But that is not your target audience. And so what are you doing? You're straying away from your target audience. It's bad marketing. It's who's running these businesses. It's just bad business to be doing that. And that's what we're seeing. And it's like they're just abandoning their entire base.
But what they do is they're preying upon this empathetic quality that women have. Because you want to be nice. You want to be considerate. You want to be mindful of other people's feelings. Especially if you deal with guys all day, because we're ogres and we're not always mindful of yours. Okay. And I know that's a complaint against guys. Like, men don't listen, whatever. You want to know what the truth is about men listening, by the way? Sidebar. It's not that we don't find you interesting or compelling. It's that the male mind is like a computer with no virus protection. And when people talk to us, we get pop-ups that fly onto our screen and just take us in a million different directions. That's a real thing. Okay. Someone's got to work on that, the firewall for the male brain. It hasn't happened yet. But the point is, women who are empathetic by nature, a lot of you trying to be considerate, are basically told, hey, these people need your help. But the help comes at the expense of your own well-being. And that's the scam here. If you're a model, okay, a supermodel, like you are, you talk about a starving artist, like they are literally starving. Like that's the business model for the model, okay? I knew a supermodel who got pregnant. She had to learn to start eating for one. You know what I mean? It's not good. But the point is, if you are a supermodel, being the face of Ulta Cosmetics, pretty big gig. So the idea that women just lost that, isn't that a middle finger to women?
It absolutely is, but that's the whole point, is they don't even know what that is. So they're saying, they aren't taking an opportunity away. This is just a stunning and beautiful woman that's taking your place. And they pull up a photo of Dylan Mulvaney and they say, this is the most beautiful person I've ever seen. And I'm looking at it and I go, I don't see what you're getting at. I don't see how this person is better looking, better for branding, is helping reach a target audience. I mean, I don't understand. It's just that there's this victimhood and they buy into it. And it's what the leftists have been doing. They just pick a person who's more important than everyone else. And that's, men pretending to be women.
Oh, it's so terrible. Paula Scanlan's here. We're having a grown-up talk about the modern left. I laugh at this stuff because it's kind of my job to laugh at this stuff. But we were at a really dangerous precipice like 5 years ago, because the way they were censoring conversation, basically they had the big tech platforms just throttling posts that dissented. So it's not like you were going to go to jail for saying it. You just didn't have any reach. And they were amplifying views that were minority views and trying to sell them as majority views, you know? My hope is, and maybe this is yours, now that we're kind of conversing honestly, because the free market is sorting out American Eagle. They're making money. They're not losing because of this. So is this the kind of grievance movement we could kill for good, or are we always going to have to stand guard because these people don't walk away from their ideology?
You know, I hope so, but I feel like we're still going to have to stand guard. I mean, even after the election, right? So I'm looking at my own personal experience with this whole transgender issue. I thought that Democrats were going to walk away from it, and some kind of started trying to do that post-election. In November, if you remember, there was a few interviews from people, and they were saying, oh, maybe not such a good idea. And now they're still pushing it.
Yeah.
We have people like Gavin Newsom who are just letting this run rampant in California, and a lot of other politicians that are freaking out and crying over these kids that are never going to get to play sports, which is not the reality, by the way.
Yeah.
You have a spot in the men's category. Go play there.
That's the other scam, as they always say. No one is saying they can't compete. But that's how they frame the issue. Well, if they're denied access, they're not denied access. Just compete in the right division. And it's so crazy because they got away with so much pretend for so long. So I feel like we're watching a societal course correction, but I think I agree with you. Like, there hasn't been a postmortem. Like, they're convinced they didn't lose because of their policies. It was like, we just needed to do more social media. No, they didn't.
Yeah, and they said the problem is that the average American voter is a racist. That's what they are saying. That's what they said after. They're like, it's not our problem. It's the American people our problem. And I think the reality is the majority of Americans are just normal, common sense thinkers, and they don't buy into men being women, and they don't buy into all this crazy everything's racist and everyone calling everyone a Nazi.
Yeah,
Sorry.
It's so exhausting. And it's like the country as a whole, like racism is obviously a byproduct of ignorance, and people hated and feared things they didn't understand. But we've been so fully integrated for so long now that like we are like so far past race. We now invent racism. Like this is invented racism. Okay, calling this Nazism. And it's like tearing down statues. It's like we're actually tearing down old statues so we can have new arguments. But there's no deliverable on any of this stuff. Like if Sydney Sweeney isn't in that ad, I don't know who benefits. You know what I mean? Just, I don't know who loses by her being in that ad. Just the same.
Well, they claim everyone. They claim black people, brown people,
it's
ugly
so
people, fat
embarrassing.
people. I don't know.
Like, and so many of the biggest celebrities in the world are not white, you know, especially in the day and age. And that's I think the scam is that the left took symbols of achievement and turn them into symbols of oppression. It's like, how many times a week do I have to hear Michelle Obama tell me black women can't get ahead? She's recording a podcast in one of 3 mansions. As a former first lady, like, I'd love to be as behind as you are as a black woman. Wouldn't you?
I definitely would. I mean, it's the funniest thing. Well, I get all these comments calling me Nazi, whatever. And again, I'm literally Asian. I'm quite literally an Asian woman. And people are like, no, but you don't count. You don't count because you have the wrong views. And that's something I deal with day to day. And I'm reading through my comment sections, or I'll get comments like, if you were full white, you'd be more successful. It's like, I don't think that has anything to do with my success or lack thereof. You know?
No, not in this day and age. And if you actually break down like income per capita amongst ethnicities,
Asian women are like the highest.
Number 1.
If anything, I would be better off being fully.
Yeah, like you should commit. But that's all. The other point is like in the Democratic Party, people now fake minority status to get ahead. They lie about having it to get things. I mean, Elizabeth Warren did just the same. And that's so like Mamdani, said he was black. Because they're like, well, he's technically from a, continent that has, but so is Elon Musk. Does that make him black? Is Charlize Theron black? Just because she's from a nation landlocked to Africa? Of course not. But that's the point. It's all pretend stuff. So I think like the teachable moment for Democrats is that at some point, like you actually have to compete in the real world. And I don't think they've had to do that for a while. And if the party's going to have a resurgence, it's going to come from a person we don't know right now. Because none of the people we know right now are actually trying to distance themselves from any of this stuff. You know?
It's a good point. I mean, I would love to see who they try to put up in the next couple of years. I mean, there's a couple people who are already trying to campaign out there, and it's involving saying men can be women, which is probably the least popular stance you could possibly ever get anyone to get behind. Because truly, even Democrats, I grew up in this area, New York City greater area, and I know so many Democrats, and they tell me that every single viewpoint I hold is disgusting and terrible. But they're like, under their breath, they're like, okay, but the men and women's sports, maybe I agree with you.
Because they know. Think about this, and then I'll let you go. You've probably heard this clip 1,000 times, but not the audience hasn't always heard it. So So Serena Williams, probably the most successful female athlete of all time. You know where this is going. David Letterman asked her to scrimmage Andy Murray. She says the following.
For me, men's tennis and women's tennis are completely almost two separate sports. So I'm like, if I were to play Andy Murray, I would lose 6-0, 6-0 in 5 to 6 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, because it's true. It's true. It's a completely different sport. The men are a lot faster, and they serve harder, they hit harder. It's just a different game, and I love to play women's tennis, and I only want to play girls because I don't want to be embarrassed. I would not do the tour. I wouldn't do Billie Jean any justice. So Andy, stop it. Yeah. I'm not gonna let you kill me.
Now I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Serena Williams knows more about women's sports than Dawn in the Subaru, who's listening in Vermont right now with a nose ring ranting into an iPhone. Wouldn't you say? I mean, I feel like she's got standing on this.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But that was 2013 Letterman. If she said that in like 2023, she might have lost every endorsement she has.
Exactly that. And back when I was first dealing with this several years ago now, I went and did research on the difference between men and women's sports. Not that I needed to even do that. It's pretty obvious. Okay, and I found a New York Times article from 2008 or 2009 about the Beijing Olympics, comparing the Olympic champions in events like track and field, swimming, you name it, saying, yes, men are stronger and this is why. Okay, I'm sure they tried to bury that article because if you surfaced it 15 years later when I was actually dealing with it, the New York Times would cancel itself for writing that.
Try finding that clip online. That Serena Williams clip is a deep dive. They buried it. They also buried, this is a joke, but Joan Rivers famously called Michelle Obama transgender. It's the fastest I've ever seen a TV network cut to commercial. So the late, great Joan Rivers was walking into an apartment. There was a bunch of paparazzi. And they said, now that we have a black president, when do you think we're going to have the first gay president? And she goes, we already have it with Obama. They go, everybody knows Michelle Obama's a tranny. And they were like, back after these messages. It's on the internet. We've played it on Fox News Saturday night, but we had to work hard to find that clip.
One more quick Michelle Obama before I take up too much of your time. There's 2 people at Princeton whose thesis papers have been hidden from the public that you cannot access.
Oh, wow.
One of them is Michelle Obama.
Wait a minute now.
I swear, my friend who went to Princeton told me this. And the other one is something that's really dangerous. It's like how to build a nuclear bomb or something like that.
Well, they'll probably release that before Michelle. This is a cliffhanger for your next appearance. The great Paula Scanlan. We got to go to commercial while we still have advertisers. I'm back after this.